Title. I joked that his best friend knows my body better. He heard everything. I should have known better than to joke about something like that. But that night, it just slipped out. We were sitting at the table, me, Ryan, and his best friend Ethan. The three of us had known each other for years, but lately things between Ryan and me had been tense. The laughter that used to fill our home had turned into long silences, the kind that stretch until someone finally gives up trying. Ethan cracked a joke about relationships, about how couples lose their spark after marriage. I don't even remember what made me say it, but I laughed and blurted, "Well, maybe it's because your best friend knows my body better than you do." The room went dead silent. Ethan froze mid-sip, his eyes wide, and Ryan's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. I tried to laugh it off, brushing my hair behind my ear and saying, "Relax, I was kidding." But Ryan didn't laugh. Not even a twitch of a smile. His eyes were fixed on me, cold and piercing, like he was seeing me for the first time. The air felt heavy, like the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. Ethan cleared his throat, trying to change the subject, but Ryan pushed back his chair and stood up. "You think that's funny?" he asked, his voice low, steady, too calm. My throat went dry. "Ryan, come on," I said softly. "It was just a stupid joke." "Is it?" he interrupted, his tone slicing through the room. "Because it sounded pretty specific to me." Ethan mumbled something about leaving, but Ryan didn't even glance his way. He just turned and walked toward the kitchen, his jaw tight. I followed, trying to explain, but he stopped me with a raised hand. "I heard enough," he said. "More than I wanted to." That night, he didn't come to bed. I lay awake listening to the faint hum of the fridge, wondering how one careless sentence could tear open a wound I didn't even know existed. In the morning, the coffee pot was still full, untouched. His car keys were gone. And on the table, next to my half-finished cup from last night, was his wedding ring. For the first 2 days, I told myself he just needed space. Ryan had always been the type to cool off alone. But by the third day, the silence started to feel different, colder, deliberate. I called him. No answer. Texted. Nothing. Even Ethan stopped responding to my messages, and that silence cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I kept replaying that moment in my head. The way Ryan's eyes shifted when I said those words. A mix of disbelief and heartbreak. I hadn't meant it. Ethan and I had been friends long before Ryan came into my life. There was nothing between us. But the way it sounded, the words had a poison of their own. That evening, I drove to Ryan's workshop. His car was parked outside, but when I walked in, he barely looked up. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his tone flat, distant. "I need to explain," I whispered. He finally looked at me, eyes rimmed red from lack of sleep. "Explain what?" "That my wife thinks my best friend knows her body better." I flinched at the bitterness in his voice. "It was a joke, Ryan. You know how I am when I get nervous or awkward." "No," he snapped, slamming a wrench on the table. "I don't know who you are anymore. And maybe that's the problem." I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "You're twisting this into something it's not." "Am I?" he said, his voice trembling now. "Because Ethan's been distant too. Makes me wonder if there's a reason he couldn't even look at me that night." I felt my heart drop. "Don't do this. You know Ethan wouldn't." "I thought I knew you too," he said quietly, looking away. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of tools clinking in the background filled the silence between us. When I finally stepped closer, he took a step back, the distance between us now a wall. "Go home," he said softly. "Just go." I left, but something inside me broke that night. When I got home, I opened my phone, staring at Ethan's last message from a week ago. "We probably shouldn't hang out so much anymore. Ryan's starting to notice things." I froze. Notice things? What things? There was never anything inappropriate, but suddenly every harmless text, every shared joke, every glance felt heavier in hindsight. I realized then that the damage wasn't just done, it was irreversible. The next morning, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I drove straight to Ethan's apartment, hoping he could help me fix what I had destroyed. He looked surprised to see me standing there, pale and tired. "Sarah, you shouldn't be here," he said immediately, glancing past me, as if expecting Ryan to appear. "I just need to know," I said, my voice trembling. What did you mean by that message? What is Ryan starting to notice? Ethan hesitated, running a hand through his hair. He's been suspicious for a while, he said finally. The way we talk, the inside jokes, how comfortable we are. He thinks there's something between us. I shook my head, feeling my stomach twist. There isn't. I know, he replied. But after what you said that night, he trailed off, exhaling deeply. It sounded real, Sarah. You looked straight at him when you said it. Anyone would have believed it. Tears welled up in my eyes. I was trying to make him laugh. We were so tense lately. I just wanted to lighten things. Ethan sighed. You lit a fire instead. For a moment, we just stood there, two people caught in the fallout of one terrible sentence. Then he added quietly, Ryan called me yesterday. He told me not to contact you again. That hit harder than I expected. The man I loved didn't just stop trusting me. He was cutting me off from the one person who understood what had really happened. I left without another word. When I got home, the house felt emptier than ever. Ryan had taken most of his clothes, his tools, even his favorite coffee mug. On the counter, there was a folded note. My fingers trembled as I opened it. I loved you enough to believe your words were just careless. But I can't live in a house where I question every silence. Maybe someday you'll understand what that joke cost us. That night, I sat in the kitchen, the note pressed against my chest, and thought about how fragile love really is. How a single line, meant in jest, can echo louder than years of devotion. Weeks passed, and though Ryan never came back, I kept thinking of that dinner table. The laughter, the stillness, and the moment everything changed. Sometimes I still hear his voice in my head, soft and tired. You think that's funny? No, Ryan. It wasn't. It never was.